Hello children, I hope that you have gone through the previous video of language of chemistry. The video covers up all the necessary points that you need to know how to name chemical compounds. So it's very important that you learn to name chemical compounds correctly and know to write their chemical formulas correctly. Now the next topic for your first chapter, and this is one of the most important topic in chemistry, that is how to balance chemical equations. So now we will see how do we write chemical equations and how to balance them. Now let's see what a chemical equation is and what it represents. A chemical equation is a symbolic representation of a chemical reaction using symbols and formula of substances involved in the reaction. So what is a chemical reaction? It basically tells you what is the chemical change. It is just written in a one single equation which gives you what were the reactants, which two compounds or which two substances reacted to give whatever product was formed. Now let's understand this with the help of an example. Let's take an example, burning of coal. So if coal burns in air, what happens? It gives rise to a new substance which is carbon dioxide. So this chemical change can be represented using an equation. Let us see how. So if we need to see how the word reaction is translated, it's translated as carbon plus oxygen, which gives you carbon dioxide. So the reaction can be written in words as shown here. The same reaction can be represented symbolically as shown here, C plus O2 giving us CO2. That's carbon plus oxygen giving us carbon dioxide. So instead of writing a statement, it can be reduced to just writing some symbols and formulas. So that is the ease a chemical equation can give us. It represents a chemical change, and that also it's very symbolic. Okay, now we see chemical equations using one more example here. So first the steps. We need to identify the reactants and the products and place them in the word equation. Again, reactants are those chemicals or are those substances which combine or which react with each other. So it's always written before the arrow sign in a chemical equation. And products are those substances which are formed because of the chemical equation or chemical reaction. It's written after the arrow key. So before the arrow you have your reactants, and after the arrow in a chemical equation you got your products. Okay, so first thing we need to identify reactants and products and place them in a word equation. Next step is convert the chemical names into chemical formulas. So wherever you are having a name, there in that place you're supposed to write the symbol or the chemical formula for that particular element or compound, and write the state symbol. State symbol means what is the physical state of that matter, of that substance, whether it is solid. Solids are written with a small s in the brackets, written as a subscript below the symbol. If it is liquid, it is written as L. If it is gaseous, it is written as G. So solids with S in a bracket, liquids are written with L in brackets, and gases are written with G in the brackets. And we write AQ if suppose something is in an aqueous state, means if there is example, there is an acid HCl which also contains some amount of water in it, so it will be written as AQ instead of liquid. Okay, so coming back to this example here, let's see aluminium plus iron 3 oxide. These are the reactants. So they are written first before the arrow sign. Aluminium plus iron 3 oxide gives aluminium oxide plus iron. Please note that this is a chemical equation which is highly exothermic. And so what iron is generated as a product here will be in liquid state, because this takes place at very high temperatures. It's a highly exothermic reaction. So we are supposed to write every element or compound with its symbol or chemical formula. So we'll write Al, in the brackets S denotes that it is in solid state. Fe2O3 again in solid state, iron oxide, gives us aluminium oxide Al2O3. This is also in a solid state, plus it gives us iron. Iron here is in liquid state. So how we are supposed to write the reaction? Al plus Fe2O3 giving us Al2O3 plus Fe. Now to balance the equation, we just see that aluminium is only one on the left hand side, whereas it is two aluminium atoms on the right hand side, and hence aluminium, we will put a coefficient 2 to aluminium on the reactant side. Similarly, when we look at Fe, Fe on the reactant side is 2. That is, 2 atoms of iron are present in iron 3 oxide, whereas the iron that is got as a product is a single atom of iron. So to balance the chemical equations, or to keep the elements in equal quantities on both the sides, we will have to put a coefficient 2 for Fe. So the correct balanced chemical equation here will be 2Al plus Fe2O3 giving us Al2O3 plus 2Fe. The symbols written in the brackets below mentioning the state are optional. It is not compulsory that every time you need to mention them. In many reactions, you will see that it is not given. Let's see another example. Okay, in this slide, I'll give you some hints to balance chemical equation. First thing what we need to do is we need to adjust the coefficients and not the subscripts. Coefficient is the number written before the element or the compound. Here we can see some examples. The numbers written in red color are all the coefficients. So we need to adjust the coefficients and never the subscript. Means never you're going to change anything with regards to the numbers written in black, which are written in subscript. First thing is we need to identify and write the elements or compounds with the correct symbols or their chemical formulas. And then we start balancing. And balancing will only mean changing the number of coefficients on both the sides of the arrow. So we have to see that in the end we have equal number of atoms of every element on both the sides. Now let's see the second point. Even odd multiply by 2 to make all even. Okay, so if you come across a number which is odd, so we generally will multiply it with an even number so that we can make it even, and hence we can add to the coefficients. Now next is balance polyatomic ions as a whole. If you see the example shown below, in the second example here, lead nitrate, PbNO3 twice. So here NO3 should be taken as a whole. You take it as one entity. And NO3, if you see, it is on the left hand side. There are two NO3s, that is even number of NO3 on the left hand side. Whereas on the right hand side of your equation, NaNO3. So that is just one NO3. That's an odd number. So when you have one even and one odd number, the best way to balance it is to make the odd number even by multiplying with 2. So that's what we are doing here. We are going to multiply sodium nitrate with the number 2. See, it's written in red for the second equation in the second example. So NaNO3, once it is made twice, how we can check it? Sodium Na, we have two atoms now, and NO3, we have two groups of these NO3s. Lead chloride remains the same, PbCl2. Now let's check for sodium. If you see in this equation, sodium has not been balanced. In the example, second example, the second one, if you see, after making NaNO3 twice, there's sodium which is on the left hand side as Na. So that's one sodium, whereas on the right hand side of the arrow it is 2 NaNO3. So Na is 2 here. So now sodium is not balanced. So we'll have to check for that and balance it out. How do you balance this? Just by putting a coefficient 2 to NaCl. So Na becomes 2, along with sodium, even Cl, chloride also becomes 2. So NaCl is 2 each now. Now if you see it on the other side, that is on your right hand side of the arrow, it's twice NaNO3, so Na is 2, problem is solved here. NO3 is already, we had balanced in the previous step, and now we see that even chloride has got automatically balanced. We did not work for balancing chlorine, but on its own chlorine has got balanced because we have Cl as 2 atoms on the left hand side as well as 2 atoms on the right hand side. So this is how you balance chemical equations. So we need to check every element and see that they are balanced correctly. And how do we see that? By just calculating or counting the number of atoms on the right hand side and equating it with the number of atoms on the left hand side. Here's another simple equation. We have CH4 methane plus 4 chlorines giving us carbon tetrachloride and 4 HCl. How do we get this equation and how do we balance it? So the skeletal equation would have read as CH4 plus Cl2 giving us CCl4 plus HCl. So what's written in black is the skeletal equation. Now to balance it, the first step what you can do, you can write every element present on your left hand side, one below the other as it is written C. And how many atoms are present on the left hand side? It's 1, so we write 1. Hydrogen, we have 4 atoms of hydrogen on the left hand side. Chlorine, it is Cl2, so we have 2 atoms of chlorine on the left hand side. Now for chlorine, why have they written 2? Because chlorine is a diatomic element. Chlorine always exists in diatomic structure. So when it comes to chlorine, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, we generally write it as Cl2, O2, N2, etc. So methane plus chlorine giving us carbon tetrachloride, CCl4 and HCl, that is hydrochloric acid or hydrochloride gas, whichever. So what we need to do is we write the elements on both the sides, write the number of atoms present. So carbon is balanced on both the sides, so we do not have to touch anything with relates to the CH4, that is methane, or CCl4, that is carbon tetrachloride. These two compounds on the left and right, we just don't have to touch or write anything in front of it. Now come to the next one, it's hydrogen. It shows the hydrogen has 4 atoms on the left hand side, so naturally we have to make it 4 on the right hand side. And what's the only way of doing it? By putting a coefficient. Now since we need 4, we directly put the number 4 in front of HCl. But now by putting 4 to HCl, we see that on your left hand side chlorine is only 2, whereas now on your right hand side chlorine has become altogether 8 because CCl4 has 4 of chlorine. Plus now we wrote 4 HCl. So 4 HCl mean 4 more chlorines. So 4 and 4, 8 chlorines. So now we need to balance out chlorine. So how do you balance out chlorine? You can balance chlorine by, now chlorine is already written as Cl2. So 2 it's already written. So we'll write 4 as a coefficient there. So 4 2s are 8. That makes it 8 atoms of chlorine on the left hand side as well as 8 atoms of chlorine on the right hand side. Now let us see some examples from the textbook also. Okay, the first example from your textbook. This is copper plus sulfuric acid giving you copper sulfate plus sulfur dioxide plus hydrogen. So how do we balance out this equation? So the first step will say count the number of atoms of all the elements on either side of the chemical equation. So you write the elements on the reactant side as well as the product side. So we see that we have 1 atom of carbon on the reactant side, 1 atom on the product side. Hydrogen, they are both 2 atoms on either side. Sulfur, reactant side we have 1 atom, while on the product side the atoms is 2. Now oxygen is 4 on the reactant side, but it is 7 on the product side. So we see the first two are balanced, so we'll ignore that for the moment. Let's go proceed to the next one. So if you go to see sulfur, on the reactant side we have 1, whereas it is 2 on the other side. So just to make that To balance it out, we will need to put on the left hand side in front of sulfur. So which compound contains sulfur here? It's sulfuric acid, H2SO4. So in front of H2SO4, we put the number 2 as a coefficient. So that's the first step. The first step is you are going to put the coefficient 2 for sulfuric acid, H2SO4. Now what has happened? Sulfur is balanced out, but at the same time we see that the balance of hydrogen has gone off. Okay, so we need to balance hydrogen again. Hydrogen was initially 2 on both the sides, but when we tried to make sulfur 2, hydrogen has become 4 on the left hand side, that is on the reactant side. So to balance this out, we go to the water molecule and put the coefficient 2. So here we are having hydrogen as 4 again. So hydrogen is balanced out. So by adding the coefficient 2 to water, we see that all the other elements have automatically balanced themselves out. Let's see what's the final equation showing. Copper is 1 on both the sides, hydrogen is 4 on both the sides, sulfur is 2, and here on this side also we have 2 sulfurs. One is present in copper sulfate, CuSO4. So there's one S there, and in sulfur dioxide there's another S. So 2 S's we have on the right hand side as well. Now oxygen has converted to 8, that is O4 into 2, so that is 8 of oxygens. And let us see on the right hand side how much we have. Copper sulfate has 4, SO2 has 2, so that is 4 plus 2, 6, and 2 water molecules, that is 2 H2Os, so we got 2 O's there. So 4 plus 2 plus 2, 8. So oxygens are also now 8 on both sides, and this is the way we balance a chemical equation. So I hope that this is very easy and clear. With more practice, you will be able to do this more easily. Now let us see one more example to make things much more clear for you all. So balance the following skeletal equation, which is saying arsenic oxide plus tin chloride giving you plus HCl giving you tin chloride plus arsenic plus water. Okay, we are noticing here that there's SnCl2 and SnCl4 on the left and right hand side. This shows that the tin here is showing variable valency. On the left hand side it is stannous, Sn, which has valency plus 2, whereas on the right hand side SnCl4 is tannic, which is tin with valency plus 4, and that is why you see this different formulas for the same sounding compounds like tin chloride. Both are tin chloride. One is stannous chloride, one is tannic chloride. Okay, so coming to the equation, first we count the number of atoms on both the sides of the equation, and we will write down just as discussed in the previous example. So we see the first element itself is not balanced. As is 2 on one side, other side it is 1. So naturally we'll have to multiply As with 2. Okay, then for tin it is Sn is 1 on both the sides. Chlorine is not balanced. We have an odd number here, 3, and on the left hand side or reactant side, and we have the number 4 on the product side. Hydrogen is 1 on the reactant side, but it is 2 on the product side, and oxygen is 3 on the reactant side, while on the product side it is 1. So the first step will be take the metal and balance it out. So you'll take As arsenic and multiply that by 2. Okay, at the same time you're going to take water and multiply that by 3. Why? Because in As2O3 we have 3 oxygen atoms. So naturally the only other place where oxygen is there on the right hand side is water molecule. So we need to convert that into 3. So how do you convert it into 3? By multiplying it by 3. So add a coefficient in front of water, 3. So the first step is you're going to write as As2O3 plus SnCl2 plus HCl giving you SnCl4 plus 2. This is what you're doing here, plus 2 As plus 3 times water molecule, 3 H2O. The next step, we will need to equalize hydrogen atoms. Now to equalize hydrogen atoms, we see because we added 3 in front of H2O, H has become 6. So naturally we have to make hydrogen 6 on the left hand side as well. So to make hydrogen or to balance out hydrogen here, we are going to multiply HCl with the coefficient 6. So the next step says As2O3 plus SnCl2 plus 6. Here we are putting 6 in front of HCl, and the balance equation is just like the previous step, SnCl flow plus 2 times As plus 3 water molecules. Now we will need to multiply SnCl2 and SnCl4 both by 3. And why we need to do that? Just to balance the whole equation out. So if you multiply SnCl2 and SnCl3 by SnCl4 by 3, we get a balanced chemical equation. So your final answer, final balanced chemical equation here shows As2O3 plus 3 SnCl2 plus 6 HCl plus 3 gives you 3 times SnCl4 plus 2 As plus 3 H2O. So I hope that this is a example that you will understand, and based on this you will be able to solve many more examples. Let's understand chemical equations better. What is the information that can be conveyed by a balanced chemical equation? Let's take an example here. Sodium hydroxide plus sulfuric acid giving you sodium sulfate plus water. When you write a balanced chemical equation, it reads as 2NaOH plus H2SO4 giving you Na2SO4 plus H2O. So what does this above equation tell us? The above equation actually is the result of a chemical change. So it tells us that a chemical change has taken place. That's the first thing that we can understand. Other is it gives us the information about the reactants which are involved and what are the products formed as a result of the chemical reaction. It also tells us about the number of molecules of each substance taking part and that is formed in the reaction. Here 2 molecules of sodium hydroxide and 1 molecule of sulfuric acid react to give 1 molecule of sodium sulfate and 2 molecules of water. So it exactly tells you the number of atoms or molecules that are taking part in the chemical reaction and how do they react to giving what type of products. If you check it in detail, it also gives the chemical composition of the respective molecules. That is, 1 molecule of sodium hydroxide contains 1 atom of sodium and 1 atom of oxygen and 1 atom of hydrogen. So it can give you the detailed information of every molecule that is taking part in the reaction. It also gives us information about the molecular mass and also shows that matter cannot be created nor be destroyed. If we see this example, if you calculate the molecular mass, it shows that the molecular mass of NaOH is 80. And how do we arrive at 80? The mass of sodium is 23, oxygen is 16, hydrogen is 1. Now how did we arrive at 23 for sodium? Sodium has 11 protons and 12 neutrons. So 11 plus 12 makes it 23. Whereas oxygen has 6 protons and 6 neutrons makes it 16. Hydrogen has only 1 proton, no neutron, so that is 1. So if you club it all, it is 40, but we have 2 molecules of NaOH. That makes it 80. This is the similar way every element's molecular mass is calculated, and if you see, it shows that it is equal on both the sides. So we see the mass is 178 here for this equation on both the sides. So with the above example, we also prove the law of conservation of mass, that is total mass of a substance on either side of the equation or a chemical reaction is the same. So according to the above equation, 178 grams of reactants are producing 178 grams of products. So thus we can prove that mass is not created nor destroyed. Now let us see some limitations of chemical equations. A chemical equation does not tell us the physical state of the reactants and the products, that is whether the substances are solid, liquid or gases. Some equations do mention it, but most often you will see equations which do not give you this information on the physical state of matter. The time taken for the completion of a reaction is also not mentioned in a chemical reaction. A chemical reaction also does not mention whether heat is given out or absorbed during the reaction. So it does not tell you every time whether its equation is an endothermic reaction or an exothermic reaction. The chemical reaction also does not mention the respective concentrations of the reactants and the products. So we are not able to tell what is the concentration of any of the chemicals that is formed or that is used in the reactions. This is one more limitation of a chemical reaction. The chemical reaction also does not mention the rate at which the reaction proceeds. So we have no clue when the reaction will get over, how long it takes for the reaction to complete. Most reactions also do not mention whether the reaction is reversible or irreversible. Sometimes we do have examples where we know that they are reversible reactions and they are marked accordingly, but many reactions it's not always mentioned. Another important point here is we do not know whether the reaction is completed or it is incomplete. So we do not know whether the reaction is still going on or it has already been completed. So these are some of the limitations that we have for chemical reactions. I hope students that you have followed all the points that I explained and how to balance equations. Again, just to revise a few topics is you write the correct symbols or chemical formulas of all the elements and compounds in the reaction and balance them out evenly. If any number is an odd number, try to convert it into an even number by multiplying with 2, and we always balance only coefficients. The last step should be to check that every atom on the reactant side has the equal number of atoms of that element on the right hand side as well. So this is how you balance chemical equations. Thank you.